You know what's annoying? The fact that when I add one of these things, my cursor is not inside there. That's lame. I don't like it. Now, in order to do that, it's not super simple. If we look at our component here, here's our content editable. If we just put autofocus, and remember, JSX has a tendency to fix all the inconsistent camel casing in the DOM. So that is autofocus like that. Well, nothing happens. It didn't complain, but it didn't do what I wanted either. So we're going to have to use what's called a lifecycle method. Lifecycle methods in components are methods that will automatically be run at certain stages in the component's lifecycle. So when it's first created, when it first actually shows up in the DOM, when it's about to be removed, those kinds of things. So we're going to use one of those, but in order to do that, we can't use a functional stateless component anymore. It's going to have to be a full-blown component. So we're going to have to make it a class that extends React.component. So our next task is to convert this thing specifically, from a functional stateless component to a full-blown component. Oh man. You made us write it as a functional stateless component knowing we'd have to do this. You're gosh darn right I did. It's good for you. Put hair on your chest, whether you want it or not. All right. So let's go ahead and put React component up here. Import the named export. Class thing extends component. Can't do this because this isn't a function anymore. This is a class. Goodbye, friends. So now my props are just this.props. What else do we need to do to make this a class? Well, this is not how you create methods in a class. We could just get rid of const, and we know we can use property initializers. Now this return, when the whole thing was just one big function, we could just return the JSX right from there. But you can't have a single return value for a whole class. This needs to be the return value for the render function, right? Render method. So let's make that render. Put some closing curly braces. Highlight all this and indent it. And do mind your indentation, folks. The poor sap who has to go back through your code and read it and try to figure out what you were doing may be you. All right. It's still complaining. Things not defined. Save things not defined. Why? Because those are our props, and we can't get to the props the same way anymore. So inside update name, let's just do this one method at a time. Inside update name, which ones do we need? Looks like we need thing. Looks like we need save thing, right? That was a prop too. So I could just change these to this.props dot thing and this.props dot save thing. I don't feel like it. Plus, I want to use a new trick. It's basically the same trick in a different way. So I'm going to create local variables out of those props. And I can use that bracket syntax here. Thing, save thing, and just say equals this.props. It's very much like this import. React exports who knows how many things. We're only interested in the named import component, not any of the other named exports. So same deal here. We're only interested in these two props, so we can get them out of here by using very similar syntax. And there's nothing magical about props. This doesn't have anything to do with props. This is just objects. if we want to get a couple of properties out of an object and save them as local variables, we can do this. It's called destructuring. Then update name should no longer explode. So if I look at my error over here, my first error is on line 9. If I save this, now my first error is on line 21. Cool. So render. Render needs thing, update name, and remove thing. So we can do the same trick. Const thing, save thing out of props. No, it is complaining. I know this error message is tiny. It says update is not, name is not defined either, but update name isn't a prop. It's a method, right? It's actually defined here, right here in this component. So that needs to be this dot update name now. Now it's still complaining about remove thing. Remove thing was a prop. So we need to add that to the list. Okay, it's back. No more errors. The stuff still work. Add thing. Hey there. Add another. Woot. Let's look at our app state. Looks like we do in fact have two things. Hey there and woot. It worked. Does delete still work? Sure does. All right, we have successfully converted thing from a functional stateless component, one big function, to a full-blown React component that extends the React.component class.